Today's episode is going to be a little bit different than the one I had planned for this week because today, August 25th, we had some absolutely incredibly unfortunate news, which is that Dolly Parton, the icon, the legend, has unfortunately passed away. And I honestly don't typically post about celebrity deaths to a certain extent because it feels icky sometimes. Um, just because when a celebrity passes away, you know their name's going to be trending, and I never want something to come off as though I'm posting about this celebrity, this news to get views, because we do live in such a strange world where now that is like a constant carrot being dangled is you could go viral for this. If something's trending, how can you capitalize on it? And I know that there are some people who think like that, and therefore I don't want anyone to ever misinterpret my intentions. I just try not to insert myself in a way that comes off inauthentic. Um, and that leads into why I do want to talk about Dolly Parton because number one, I think that we can all agree that this is a really hard hitting one for a lot of people because Dolly Parton is so beloved. I think the jokes about no matter what goes on in this country, that's one thing that can unite everybody from any side, any religion, any political beliefs is that we all love Dolly Parton and for good reason, for such good reason. And you know, I posted some videos today on TikTok and also on Instagram talking about why that is because of how incredible she was and is and will continue to be. I do firmly believe that energy never dies. And I think that Dolly Parton has an energy and has made a lifelong, lasting impression and an impact on this world that is going to far outlive any of us, not just her. And I wanted to talk about that because it got me thinking today, thinking about Dolly Parton, thinking about everything that she has created and everything that where she came from. She came from nothing and built such an incredible career, an incredible legacy, and she did so much good. And I think that that is truly above everything besides being an absolute legend in the country music space, an incredible singer, an incredible writer, an incredible talent. She I think she will be remembered for her heart more than anything. And I wanted to talk about that today and how relevant a lot of the things that Dolly Parton has taught through her life, not just in her words, but the way that she lived it, and how relevant it is to the world that we are all living in today, that kind of, in a lot of ways, feels like the opposite of everything that Dolly Parton stood for and represented, you know, is how our world works and what trends online and how people behave in the online space on social media, that really I think a lot of us are consumed by social media and our perception of what's normal, what we should look up to, what we should live for, what we should set our goals as. A lot of it has been directly impacted by social media. And I think a lot of those things, the monetary things and the lifestyle things and the wanting to, follow every trend and look identical to each other and, everything like that, I think it really goes against a lot of the most valuable lessons that Dolly Parton has taught us. And so I just wanted to talk about that today. And yeah, I don't want to say it's a sad episode. I want to say it's a special episode because I think Dolly Parton is a very special person and deserves to be talked about for a very, very, very long time, far past our lifetimes. And I have no doubt that she will be. So, without further ado, welcome back to The Sensationalist. After I heard the news that Dolly Parton had passed, of course, my entire timeline on social media, and I'm sure yours was the same, is people posting about Dolly Parton, people remembering her, people posting photos of her, videos of her performances, videos of her talking, videos of her opening Dollywood, her talking about her past and where she grew up. And the number one thing that stuck out to me at first, I started thinking about that I want to talk about in today's episode, is how Dolly Parton was never ashamed of where she came from at all. And I mean that in such a specific way. It wasn't like the typical, we all knew she came from nothing, and she boldly expressed that and authentically represented that and discussed the circumstances in which she grew up and where she grew up and what her life was like as a kid. And so it wasn't a secret. It wasn't something she glossed over or glamorized, but it also wasn't something that she ever put down. She never put down the people that she grew up with. She never put down the town she grew up in. She never put down people. She never put down that kind of lifestyle. She never said it in a negative way. Like she didn't represent herself in a way that was like, "Oh, I got better than that. I'm better than those people. I made something better out of my life." Even though she definitely did change her circumstances. She worked hard and she created an incredible career because of her hard work, and she did change her circumstances for the better, but she never talked about it in a way that put the people that she grew up around or people who are currently living in circumstances and situations that mirror hers. She never put people down. And the amount that she has poured back into her community, that she literally, when I say she never forgot where she came from, she literally didn't forget about them, about the place, about the people. And she consistently returned home. I think the lesson overall, and I'm going to talk a lot about lessons with Dolly Parton, but the overall lesson I think that just kept popping up today as I was thinking about her and thinking about her life and researching and finding out new things that I didn't even know about, contributions she had made, charitable donations that she had made, companies and nonprofits that she had started that I did not know about. It just made me realize that you get to decide who you're going to be every day. And I think more of us than not are probably currently living in circumstances that we would like to change at some point, that we have bigger goals for ourselves. We would like to achieve more. We would like to make more money. We'd like to have a better job, a better income, a better house, a better wardrobe of clothes. We'd like to have more recognition, whatever our goals are. And I, for one, do not think that those are bad things. I don't think it's a bad thing to have big dreams. I don't think it's a bad thing to want a decent amount of money or a lot of money. I think the question, though, is since so many of us focus on where we want to get, and we're often thinking of what steps do we need to take to get to that point, we fail to think about, well, who are we going to decide to be when we get there? What if we accomplish those things? Then what are we going to do with it? What if you get all that money? What if you're able to afford that house and then you have some left over? What if you're able to afford the nice clothes? Are you going to need them as much? What are you going to do with it? Why do you want it? Because I think it answers that question. I think when we get down to the root of it, when you ask yourself, why do you want all of these things? It kind of puts you in a position of, which I think is very relevant to today's world, is like, do you actually want those things, or have you been convinced that those are things you should want because you see them as the definition of success, because it's what's expressed to us online in day in the lives of these very rich and famous influencers and celebrities, and we think that that's what we should want. Maybe you don't even want it, or if you do, for what reason? What will it do for you? Is it going to feel empty when you get it, or is that what is your motivation? And I think the reason, I know this is a tangent, but I think when you get to the point of realizing that a lot of the things that we spend a lot of time fantasizing about or dreaming about, the monetary aspects and the physical things, the materialistic things, we kind of realize, oh, I actually don't think I want that as much, or actually that wasn't ever a part of my dream. I don't think it's that important to me. And maybe it will come. Maybe it will be a side effect of our success, but it doesn't need to be the driving force. What is the driving force? Because I think if you realize that truly what motivates you every day, whatever your dream is that at the end of the day, you want to leave the world a better place than you found it. You want to leave people better than you found them. You want to put a smile on people's face. You want to encourage people. You want to inspire people. You want to resonate with people. You want to build community. You want to lift others up. You want to make people feel less alone. You want to entertain people and offer them escapism from the world that can be so hard sometimes. whatever it is, once you find what it is, because I think I truly believe most of us have positive intentions. And once we focus on those, I think it becomes kind of impossible to compare yourself. If you allow the internal forces to drive you of why you want this certain dream, why you want to be an influencer, why you want to build community, how you want to leave people, what you want people to take away from your content, from your videos, from your movies, from your books, from your songs, and you isolate that positive emotion, that positive intention, that is where I think you realize there's no point in comparing yourself to anybody else, because it's kind of the same thing as like studying for a test that you're never going to take. It's a waste of time, you know? And I think that Dolly Parton is such a pivotal, perfect example of that, because she has never tried to fit a mold. I mean, look at her. She has never tried to fit a mold. That's one of my favorite quotes of all time, when she talks about the woman from her hometown that was referred to as trash. And she was like, well, I want to look like trash. I think that she just embodies authenticity in dancing to the beat of your own drum, having your sights set on your own goals, your own life, and letting other people live theirs and not judging, not comparing. And I think that that truly is the key to happiness and the key to success, because it keeps you focused on what truly matters and what your purpose is. And I think that like I said, I think a lot of that really contradicts the world we live in today, where we kind of want to copy and paste everything that we see working on the internet. You know, we see people going on these lavish vacations. We see people spending their time on yachts. We see people opening company after company, launching a skincare line, a makeup line, a fragrance line, a sweatshirt line that nobody asked for, a pajama line, all of these things that it's just like a rat race of how can I get more engagement, more likes, more views, more money. And I just kind of think that once you start measuring your life's worth in numbers, when it comes to those things, likes, money in your bank account, engagement on social media, followers, those things start to get so empty. It really, really does. And I've slipped into that before, obviously. I mean, I do social media, I've been doing it for a long time. I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish, and social media has been a great tool for that. But it is hard sometimes not to get caught up in it, where it's like you see somebody who's been doing it for half the amount of time as you, and they're already surpassing you, and you're like, why isn't that happening for me? And you have to remind yourself, we're not doing the same thing. Just because we're using the same app, we are not doing the same thing in life in general. Just because we're all living on the same planet, we are not doing the same thing. We all have our own lane. We have our own goals, our own purposes, and our own timeline, right? And I think that there's so many quotes. One of the ones that I jotted down is Reese Witherspoon talking to Dolly Parton. And I mean, it's a great example because we're talking about two insanely successful people. And Reese Witherspoon is looking at Dolly Parton saying what an inspiration she is to her and how she just wants to be more like her. And Dolly Parton says, don't be like me, be like you. And I think all of us need to say that to ourselves every single time we start to slip in that comparison, which is so human and so natural. But just be yourself. That is the key. That is the key, because if you want to in the world that we live in, the goal is to stand out, right? The goal is to get noticed. But everybody does it in a way of like looking at what other people are doing to get noticed and trying to copy and paste that as if it's going to work. And it doesn't. It does not. That doesn't contribute to long lasting impact. And I just thought, I was like, how does somebody become an icon in a world that revolves around clicks, likes, engagement, and short attention spans? Especially because that's another thing, is Dolly Parton's career is proof that it takes time. It takes time, it takes intention, it takes building something with a level of care that is meant to last, and not just what's going to trend, what's an immediate. We're all looking for such, we live in an immediate world, right? We have Amazon Prime, we have everything on streaming. Like we our patience is shot, and our attention spans are too. And so it's like you're trained almost, if you are on in the online space like me, if you are putting out any kind of content into the world, trying to become any kind of a content creator or an artist, you kind of have your brain wired to see that you need to catch people's attentions. You have to have a hook. You have to get their attention in the first couple of seconds. That makes it so hard to be authentic and to be yourself. And I just think that maybe it's time for us to take some notes and think things take time. Things take time. Real legacy, real impact, real substance takes time because it takes time to build, and that's okay. I think a lot of us fear running out of time. I know I do. I'm constantly scared that I have too many dreams and not enough days and not enough hours in the day. I get distracted with my own brain and too many ideas going on at once, and then I just feel stuck and I feel like I'm constantly wasting time. And honestly, the most time I'm wasting is from rushing through things instead of sitting back and taking my time and trying to build something. I saw a video of Dolly talking about aging and how it's not something that scares her because she's like, I don't have time to age and I'm just getting started. And it was equally upsetting to see that video on today after getting the news, but it was also very inspiring to see that somebody who is much older than I am wasn't near as worried about running out of time as I am in my 20s, was seeing her life as just getting started and that she is, and I don't even think that she meant that in a way of the number, the age that she is. I think she meant it as far as what she has built is just beginning. And I firmly believe that, especially after deep diving into the things that she has done that I'm going to talk about next, because I feel like it deserves to be talked about. I think if we're talking about anything over the coming days and weeks, remembering and celebrating the life of Dolly Parton, we should be talking about the incredible things that she has done and the changes that she's made, the impact that she has made. And that's really where you can see she built something that is going to last because it mattered, because it was authentic, because it was her, because she wasn't trying to copy and paste anything. She wasn't doing anything out of anything other than loving what she did and wanting to leave the world a better place, wanting to help people, wanting to help the community that she grew up in be a better place to grow up in than it was for her. And that's a huge lesson that I think we can learn is, again, you get to choose the type of person you want to be, the type of person that you get to be every single day. You get to choose. You don't get to choose a lot of things in life. You don't get to choose where you're from. You don't get to choose what circumstances you grew up in, what you grew up with. You don't get to choose a lot of the things that happen over the course of your life. Bad things will happen to you in your life. It's just a fact. You do get to choose how you respond to it. And that's something I think, like I said in the beginning, Dolly never dissed where she came from. She never talked down about it. She simply used it to fuel her, not only to better herself, but to also come back and better her community. And so you get to choose every day. Once you reach that level of success, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to pour it back into? How are you going to pay it forward? How are you going to return? I think everything in life is energy. And it's such a question every day of what are you going to spend your energy on, and what energy do you want to come back to you? What do you want to be poured into you? What do you want to pour into? And I think it's no question that Dolly was very, very committed to pouring back into not just her community, but so many communities, so many people's lives. And so I want to take a second to read through, in case you have never done so. I highly recommend over the next couple of days you take the time to read any of the many, many articles out there about the charitable donations of Dolly Parton and see how incredible it was, because this is just scratching the surface, but I wanted to read a few of them out. So in 1988, she founded the Dollywood Foundation. This was launched in her home county of Sevier County, Tennessee, with the goal of decreasing high school dropout rates. She then started the Buddy program, where she gave $500 to every 7th and 8th grader who finished high school. According to the organization, this initiative helped decline the dropout rate from 35% to only 6%. And then in 1989, she offered a $500 scholarship to every student in Sevier County who wished to attend Hiwassee College. In 1991, she started the Eagle Mountain Sanctuary at Dollywood. Her efforts to preserve the bald eagle earned her the Partnership Award from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in 2003. In 1995, she started the Imagination Library, which, if you know about any of her charitable organizations and donations, you probably have heard about the Imagination Library. She began sending one book per month to each enrolled child in Sevier County from birth until their first year of school. The library was founded in honor of her father, who was unable to read. That is what I'm talking about as far as not ever looking down on her past, not speaking ill of her past, but wanting to change the circumstances of her past, being motivated by it. The fact that her father was not able to read, and that inspired her to start this imagination library to help other children in her hometown, in her county, where she came from, where she grew up, her roots, to help other children not face that, to not to help them be able to read. And I think it's things like that, like, it's so important for us to read things like that and to absorb that information to understand. I think that's such a basic human right, is to be able to have access to books and education, and unfortunately, it's not seen that way by a lot of people, and it is so incredible to have people out there like Dolly Parton who not only have the I think a lot of us have the desire and the hope for something like that, but not all of us have the means to start something. And so that's what I mean by she really does. Her life has taught us, once you reach that point of success that you hope and pray for, what are you going to do with it? Those are the things you should be thinking about. Those are the things that should be driving you. But moving on to 2000, the Dolly Parton Scholarship. Every year, the $15,000 college scholarship is offered to 5 high school seniors in Sevier County, Tennessee. According to the Dollywood Foundation, the scholarship is awarded to those who have a dream they wish to pursue and who can successfully communicate their plan and commitment to realize their dreams. I just think it's amazing. In 2007, she had a benefit concert for a new Sevier County hospital. The concert raised $500,000, and both Dollywood and Parton's Dixie Stampede Dinner Theater pledged $250,000 each to the project for a grand total of $1 million. And LeConte Medical Center, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, the new hospital and cancer center in Sevier County, opened in 2010 and features a 30,000 square foot Dolly Parton Center for Women's Services. And then in 2016, she had a telethon after the devastating East Tennessee wildfires. The Smoky Mountains Rise, a benefit for the My People Fund, which aimed to help residents hit hardest in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, raised more than $13 million and had artists like Chris Stapleton, Chris Young, Kenny Rogers, Lauren Elena, Cyndi Lauper, and more. To continue her wildfire relief efforts, she launched the My People Fund, which provided $1,000 per month for 6 months to families whose homes were completely destroyed amid the natural disaster. It also donated around $8.9 million to those in need, and this initiative still helps residents pay for rent and utilities, plus food and mental health resources. And then in 2016, she had a special merit scholarship that she awarded a $30,000 scholarship to a 2-year-old named Evie Johns in celebration of Imaginary Library's accomplishment of shipping out 1 million books per month. And then in 2017, she had a $1 million donation following the release of her I Believe in You children's album. She donated $1 million to the Monroe Carroll Jr. Children's Hospital at Vanderbilt University Medical Center in honor of her niece who was treated for leukemia at that hospital. And then in 2020, she donated $1 million to coronavirus research at Vanderbilt University. And in 2021, she raised $700,000 to help residents impacted by the catastrophic flooding in Middle Tennessee in October 2021. In February of 2022, Dollywood announced that it will cover 100% of tuition fees and books for any employees who are furthering their education. And in 2022, she made another $1 million donation to Vanderbilt University, this time aimed at helping pediatric infectious disease research. And in 2022, she received the Carnegie Medal of Philanthropy. And in 2023, she donated $1 million to the Salvation Army. In 2024, she donated $2 million towards Hurricane Helene relief. And in 2025, Imagination Library reached 300 million books donated. So like I said, this is just scratching the surface, I'm sure, because who knows? Who knows what she's done? Like with all these celebrities, I know a lot of them do a lot of things behind the scenes that they're never going to get credit for because that's not what they're seeking, right? They're seeking to make changes, especially someone like Dolly Parton. I don't think she's done this for the accolades. I don't think she's done this for the praise. She could have gotten all of those things without ever doing any kind of philanthropy, just from her talent. So obviously, that's not what has ever driven her. That's not what drives her. It's her heart. It's her purpose. And I think that that is the biggest lesson that we can all reflect on in the way that I personally think is appropriate to honor somebody's life when they've made a lasting impression on you, even if you've never met them, is to think about how did they make that impact on your life? How did they make an impression and what can you learn from it? And I think there's more that we can learn from Dolly Parton than not. And I think it's important for us to talk about these things because it is so impressive. It's so inspirational. And I hope and I know that these things that Dolly lived her life around, these values and her purpose, her drive, and the efforts that she made and that she poured her life into, I know that they will only continue to swell because of the ripple effect of her character and how admired she was by so many of us. Nobody is going to want to let her legacy die, and it's going to be impossible to do so because she has built something so strong. And I just hope that we can all only expand on this, expand on the things that she has done and use it to inspire us in our own lives of how we could be not like Dolly Parton by copying her, because we all need to be ourselves, like she said, but how can we take a note out of her very glittery rhinestone handbook and put some good into our worlds? And she said we all are going to be remembered for who we were, and that she counts her blessings a lot more than she counts her money. And I think that those are two important lessons right there is we're going to be remembered for the people that we were. So you get to decide again every day, what kind of a person do you want to be? How do you want to be known? And that is how you're going to be remembered. I know I can definitively say that there will never, ever, ever be another Dolly Parton, and there shouldn't be. There also will never, ever, ever be another you. And you get to decide what that means. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the podcast. And I hope that you enjoyed this special episode remembering Dolly Parton and the incredible things that she has done in her life that I still firmly believe it's only the beginning for Dolly Parton and the legacy that she is going to leave behind. And lastly, because I have to, I must say another important lesson that Dolly Parton has taught us is that you always should have the biggest hair in the room. What an absolute icon and a legend and an inspiration to all of us, and always will be. Thank you, Dolly.